The rain poured down in torrents. At the edge of the cliff, the top special forces operator, Ling Lai, dug his fingers into the rock crevices. Rain mixed with blood washed into his eyes. Below him was a bottomless abyss. Above him were the drug dealers laughing maniacally at him. If the Grim Reaper wants you dead at midnight. A gunshot rang out, and Ling Lai fell. His last conscious thought was the howling wind and the unwilling roar in his chest. The mission was not yet complete. Then, darkness swallowed everything. Rough, prickly straw pierced his nose, mixed with the smell of mildew and blood. Ling Lai snapped his eyes open. What met his eyes was a drafty dirt wall, a hole-ridden roof, and a plump mouse peeking out from the rafters. This wasn't hell. Where was this? His head suddenly throbbed as unfamiliar memories flooded in. Zhao Dasu, the lazy bum of a deserted village, a gambler who owed 5 taels of silver to loan sharks and was forced to sell his wife. Last night, his legs were broken by the creditors, and he was thrown back into this ruined house to die. He had transmigrated. Ling Lai looked down, looking at these callous, yet emaciated hands. He touched his injured leg, wrapped in rags, and the cold sneer suddenly tugged at the corner of his mouth. In his past life, he was Huaxia's strongest special forces operator. Wilderness survival, tracking, hunting, tactics, and command, he mastered them all. In this life, even if he had changed bodies, the skills in his bones could not be lost. So hubby, you're finally awake. A trembling female voice came from the door. Ling Lai looked up and saw a young woman in patched, coarse clothes, holding a sallow and emaciated little girl in her arms. The woman had a hideous scar on the left side of her face. Her eyes were filled with fear, yet she forced out a trace of concern. Memories surfaced. Madame Liu, the original owner's wife. The scar was left by the original owner beating her after getting drunk 3 years ago. The little girl, Xiao He, was 3 years old, starved to nothing but skin and bones. The creditor said, if we don't pay the money back tomorrow, they will drown you in the pond. Madame Lia's voice trembled. I went to beg the village chief, and he said that as long as you're willing to sell me to Liu San as a concubine, he will pay off the debt for you. Ling Lai's fists clenched tight, his knuckles turning white. What a great Zhao Dashu, what a beast. He leaned against the broken bed and sat up. A piercing pain shot through his injured leg, yet he didn't even furrow his brows. Madame Liu retreated half a step in fright. That gaze didn't look like the Zhao Dashu she knew. That lazy bum's eyes were always cloudy and numb. When did they ever hold such sharp brilliance? Wolf pelt, 3 tails. Wolf meat, 2 tails. Exactly 5 tails. Ling Lai grabbed the rusty hunting fork from the wall and weighed it in his hand. The fork's tip was rusted and the wooden handle was loose, but in his hands, it seemed to come alive. Madame Liu was stunned. Hubby, what are you saying? The wolves from Black Wind Mountain have been coming down frequently lately. Ling Lai looked out the window. Under the moonlight, the silhouette of Black Wind Mountain looked like a giant crawling beast. It'll be right back. He dragged his injured leg toward the door, each step landing with a muffled thud on the ground. Madame Liu wanted to stop him, but was frozen by the imposing aura radiating from his back. He didn't look like a lazy bum, but rather a beast released from his cage. Nighttime at Black Wind Mountain. Zhao Dachu pressed against a tree trunk. As he moved, his breathing, long and steady. Every step he took brought piercing pain to his legs, but he forcefully suppressed it. In the depths of his consciousness, his past life's jungle combat experience was awakening. Wind speed, 3 meters per second. Northeast wind direction. Humidity, 70%. The wolf pack should be foraging in the valley on the leeward slope. His nostrils twitched slightly, and he suddenly locked onto a direction. There was a scent of blood, 300 meters away, along with the foul stench of a wild beast. He crawled forward, closing in on the target like a ghost. Behind the bushes, a gray wolf was tearing into a wild hare. Shoulder height, 65 centimeters. Estimated weight, 40 kilograms. The right front paw has a knife wound. Zhao Dasu assessed it instantly. Not much bigger than the military dogs from his past life, but this is a true beast. It possesses wildness but no intellect, only the most primal killing instinct. He gripped his hunting fork tightly, calculating the distance and angle. He had to pierce it with precision, between the third and fourth, penetrating through the gap in the ribs, to land a one-hit kill to the heart, or have his throat torn out. The gray wolf suddenly raised its head, its ears twitching, its green eyes glowing like ghost fire in the dark. It sniffed out danger, baring its fangs and letting out a low growl. Zhao Dasu didn't move. He was waiting for the wolf to pounce first and reveal a momentary flaw. As the gray wolf shot forward like an arrow, Zhao Dachu rode sideways with a hunting fork, thrusting upwards using his momentum. His muscles, relying on memory beyond conscious thought, guided the fork tip, accurately penetrating the wolf's ribs. It pierced through the other side. Boiling hot wolf blood spurted out, dyeing Zhao Dachu's chest red. The gray wolf twitched and fell to the ground, its final howl torn apart by the night wind. Zhao Dachu knelt beside the wolf, panting heavily. His legs had torn open during the fierce battle, and blood soaked through his tattered clothes. Yet he smiled first blood. He skillfully skinned it, cut it open, and removed the organs, relying on muscle memory from wilderness survival training in his past life. In this era, it was like the skill of a master butcher. The intact wolf pelt shimmered silver-gray in the moonlight. Such premium goods were worth 3 taels of silver. Suddenly, his nostrils flared again. 200 meters to the east, there was a human scent, 3 of them, carrying the metallic smell of weapons. Zhao Dazu's gaze sharpened. Bandit leaders, or mountain thugs? He quickly gathered the wolf carcass and dragged his injured leg into the darkness. Not out of fear, but because his current body wasn't fit to fight recklessly. At dawn, in the desolate village, Zhao Dazhu carried the entire wolf pelt on his back, with wolf meat hanging from his waist. Bloody footprints extended all the way from the mountain path to the village entrance. His injured leg was completely numb, relying entirely on willpower to keep walking. The villagers roasting sweet potatoes under the old locust tree gaped in astonishment. Is that Zhao Dachu? Good heavens. He killed a wolf from Black Wind Mountain. The crowd broke into a commotion. Village chief Zhao Dahal's dry pipe dropped to the ground. He had seen too many hunters bitten to death by wolves, but he had never seen a lazy bum kill a wolf. Dazu, this wolf, did you kill it? The village chief's voice trembled. Zhao Daju shook out the wolf pelt. The completely intact fur was blinding in the sunlight. He didn't answer the village chief, but instead looked toward the edge of the crowd. 5 ruffians were shoving their way through. The villagers. The leader had a casino token hanging from his waist. Creditor Liu San yelled, Zhao Dachu, pay up. Liu San arrogantly kicked over the sweet potato stall. 5 taels of silver, not a penny less, or well sell your wife to the brothel. Zhao Dachu slowly raised his head. That look made Liu San subconsciously take a half step back. It was a blood-soaked murderous intent, the deadly gaze of a special forces king, honed on the battlefield. A true death stare, wolf pelt, 3 taels. Wolf meat, 2 taels, exactly 5 taels. Zhao Dachu threw the wolf meat at Liu San's feet. Blood splashed onto the man's trouser legs. He took a step forward. Resting weight on his injured leg made his body sway slightly, but his imposing aura was like Mount Tai pressing down the IOU. Liu San wanted to lash out, but was intimidated by that aura, and subconsciously pulled out the IOU. Zhao Dazu snatched it, tearing it to shreds in front of everyone. As paper flew, he said, listen. Zhao Dazu's voice wasn't loud, but it silenced the entire crowd. The old me is dead. From now on, whoever touches my family. He kicked the wolf carcass by his feet. It'll make them end up worse than this wolf. Liu San and his ruffians set away in disgrace. The villagers watched Zhao Dazu's retreating figure, as if looking at a stranger. Madame Liu holding Xiao, he squeezed through the crowd. Seeing her husband covered in blood, yet standing tall like a god of war, tears welled up in her eyes. Xiao, he reached out to touch the blood-stained wolf pelt. Daddy, big doggy. Zhao Dazu looked down, his blood-stained palm gently rubbing his daughter's sallow hair. This is a wolf, not a dog. Daddy will make you a wolfskin coat, okay? His tough exterior melted into tenderness in an instant. In the Zhao family's dilapidated thatched cottage, Liu was cooking porridge at the stove. The thick porridge smelled so good. For the first time, it was filled to the brim. In this rundown home, Xiao he held a chip bowl, her eyes shining, like stars. While Dazu sat on the threshold, grinding his wolf-killing machete, as stone dust flew, the blade gradually became as sharp as a mirror. Dear, are you really going to give the wolf pelt to the village chief? Liu asked worriedly. The village chief controls the permits for the mountain. Zhao Dazu didn't look up. Without a permit, even if we hunt something good, we can't sell it. Besides, he looked towards Black Wind Mountain with a profound gaze. The wolf pack is changing kings. The old alpha is dead. The new alpha needs to assert dominance, and its first target will be heavily populated villages. Leah's hand trembled, dropping the spoon into the pot. 3 years ago, that wolf disaster killed over a dozen people in the village. The memory was still fresh in her mind. How do you know? Zhao Dazu smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. It's recorded in animal behaviorology. In this era, that was like a divine oracle. So I need a permit. I need the legal right to enter the mountain. He stood up. He had already grown accustomed to the pain in his injured leg. More importantly, I need to form my own hunting team. Liu didn't understand what a hunting team was, but seeing the light in her husband's eyes, she suddenly felt an unprecedented sense of security. The old locust tree at the village entrance rustled. Zhao Dazu walked towards the village chief with the wolf pelt on his back. Behind him was the direction of the rising sun. What he didn't know was that, at this moment, deep in Black Wind Mountain, a giant, completely silver-white wolf was standing at the edge of a cliff. Sniffing the faint scent of blood in the wind, it let out a long, drawn-out howl. That was the new alpha's declaration, and the prelude to a fateful showdown between the Hunter King and the Beast King. Green brick tile roofed house, vermilion gates. Zhao Dazu, carrying the wolf pelt, stood at the door of the village chief Zhao Dihao, which formed a glaring contrast with the surrounding adobe houses. He knocked. From inside came dog barks and a lazy reply, "Who is it?" Zhao Daju, selling a pelt. The door opened, a crack, revealing the greedy face of the village chief's son, Zhao Fugui. The moment he saw the wolf pelt, that greed almost spilled over. Come in. Inside the main room, the village chief stroked the wolf pelt, unable to put it down, yet he feigned reserve by tapping his dry tobacco pipe. Zhao Fugui paced back and forth nearby, his eyes fixed on the wolf pelt like nails. Dasu, the village chief slowly spoke up. This pelt isn't too bad, but 3 taels is too expensive. 2.5 taels, plus it'll issue you a permit. Zhao Dazu sneered inwardly. He had long found out that this pelt could sell for 5 taels in town, but the permit was indeed what he needed most right now. Entering the mountain privately without being an official hunter was considered poaching, and if caught, he'd be pilloried. 3 taels. He lowered his voice. Village chief, it'll give you a piece of news for free. The wolves from Black Wind Mountain have been coming down frequently lately. I'm afraid there's going to be a wolf disaster. The village chief's pipe paused. 3 years ago, that wolf disaster killed over a dozen people in the village. The memory was still fresh in his mind. How do you know the wolf pack is changing kings? Zhao Dashu leaned in and whispered in the village chief's ear. The old alpha is dead, and the new alpha wants to assert dominance. Its first target will be a heavily populated village. The village chief's hand trembled, and the cigar ash fell onto the wolf pelt, burning a scorch mark. Zhao Fugui wanted to lash out, but was glared back by his father. This news is worth half a pelt. The village chief gritted his teeth. 3 taels, plus the permit. Let me tell you a secret. Behind the 3 taels stands Black Wind Stronghold. That 5 taels is blood money. Zhao Dazu's pupils shrank. Black Wind Stronghold was the border's biggest bandit gang. It was said they had 300 bandits, and even the county magistrate wouldn't dare wipe them out. Deal. He took the three tails and the permit in his hand, keeping the permit close to his body. Zhao Dachu prepared to enter the mountain at dawn and leave at dusk every day, becoming his hidden trump card so he could legally become stronger. At the village chief's house, Zhao Fugui peeked through the window, his eyes venomous like a viper. Zhao Dasu didn't look back. His memory was still fresh. He smelled something on that kid, a faint scent of gunpowder. The black powder formula shouldn't be widely known at this time. Under the scorching sun at the threshing floor, Zhao Dasu placed 3 wild hares and 2 pheasants in the center. It was an eye-opener. The clean wounds showed the hunter's terrifying accuracy. Follow me into the mountains, 2 full meals a day, and a 30-70 split on the game we catch. I take 3, you take 7. The villagers exchanged confused glances. Zhao Dasu used to be a despised, lazy bum. Now he was offering to lead them hunting. Zhao Dasu, have you gone mad? Villager Wang Er sneered, leaning on his crutch. Last time I went into the mountains, a wild boar broke my leg. Do you think this is a gambling table? The crowd roared with laughter. 3 years ago, Wang Da-er was a top hunter. He lost his leg in an accident and was reduced to a joke. Zhao Dasu walked up to Wang Er and suddenly crouched down, rolling up his pant leg to reveal a hideous scar and a deformed bone. You were the main force back then, taking the hit. Zhao Dasu's voice was calm. Why did the 5 of you run away? Wang Er's face flushed red. Indeed, he was the one who ran first, causing his companions to get injured. It was the greatest shame of his life, because you don't understand teamwork. Zhao Dasu stood up. I'll say it again, hunting isn't just about having numbers. It requires division of labor. Even with a broken leg, it'll give you 3 months to get Wang Er hunting again. If I can't do it, he pulled out a hunting pitchfork and slammed it into the ground. The wooden handle quivered. I, Zhao Dasu, will cripple my own leg too. The whole place fell dead silent. Tears welled up in Wang Er's eyes. For the first time in 3 years, someone didn't call him a cripple, but called him by his name. Wang Er's voice was choked with emotion but firm. Brother Zhao, I am with you. As if sparking a chain reaction, 5 young men stepped forward. All of them were the poorest and most despised in the village. Tall and skinny Li Si, honest Zhang Niu, clever Zhao Xiaoliu, silent Sun Tieju, and the former bandit. Qianwen's face flushed red. Forced to join the bandits on Black Wind Mountain 3 years ago, he escaped back last month. Everyone in the village avoided him like the plague. I'll go too. Qianwen's voice was very soft. Since poverty will kill us anyway, we might as well take a gamble. Zhao Dachu looked at the 6 of them, 6 pairs of eager or anxious eyes. He reached out his hand, 6 hands stacked together, rough, calloused, and scarred, but full of strength at this moment. From today on, we are the Hunting Wind Squad. Hunt, as in hunting, wind, as in the wind of Black Wind Mountain. Deep in the dense forest on the outskirts of Black Wind Mountain, Zhao Dachu didn't take them hunting immediately. Instead, he gave them a lesson. Wind direction, northeast, 2 meters per second. The smell of your sweat can drift 300 meters downwind. He snapped off a branch and drew a simple map on the ground. A wild beast's sense of smell is 40 times stronger than a human's, so he took out a liquid ground from herbs and had everyone rub it all over their bodies. This is scent masking water. It covers up body odor. The cost for me to make it is 3 copper coins. The squad members looked at each other. Since when did this lazy bum know about herbs? Li Si, you have good eyesight. You're on lookout. Zhang Niu, you're strong. You handle the traps. Zhao Xiaoliu, you're agile. You drive the prey. Sun Tiezu, you're steady. You're the main blade. Qianwen. Zhao Dacu looked at the former bandit. You can read, so you'll record the habits of each beast. We're going to compile a bestiary. Qianwen's pupils shrank slightly. What Zhao Dachu had in mind wasn't just a single hunt, but a legacy to pass down through generations. Wang Er. Zhao Dachu finally looked at the one-legged. Man, your leg isn't good, but you have the most experience. He was responsible for commanding the reserves and serving as a coach. Wang Er was stunned. He thought he was a burden. He never expected to be entrusted with such an important task. Now, real combat. Zhao Dachu pointed to the bushes 50 meters ahead. A wild boar nest, 3 big pigs, and 5 piglets. Our target, he held up a finger, is to hunt just 1 piglet without hurting the big ones. Can you do it? The team members didn't understand. Piglets aren't worth much. The big pigs are the valuable ones. A mother pig with her young is the most aggressive. If we kill a big one, she'll hunt us relentlessly. At least 2 of us 6 will be torn apart. Zhao Dazu's voice was icy cold. Are the hunter's first lesson. Staying alive is more important than making money. He waved his hand, and the 6 men scattered into their practice formation. Li Si climbed the tree, and Zhang Niu set up a simple trap. Zhao Xiaoliu tapped the tree trunk with a stone to make noise. Startled, the piglets scattered, and one ran straight into the trap. The entire process didn't disturb. 3. Zhang away, where the big pigs slept soundly. The team members looked at the struggling piglet, then at Zhao Dashu, their eyes changing. This wasn't luck. It was calculation. It was the work of a hunter king who could play beasts in the palm of his hand. On the way down, the sunset was blood red. The team members carried the piglet, singing the work chant Zhao Dasu had taught them, their morale high. Though Wang Er hadn't directly participated in the hunt, he had commanded properly and finally wore a smile unseen for 3 years. Zhao Dazu walked at the rear. His nose suddenly twitched. A metallic scent of blood, fresh, human blood, and the sharp smell of iron. He raised his hand, and the team instantly froze. These few days of training had created a conditioned reflex. Ambush at the bend ahead, 3 men with knives, blocking the path from the eastern rocks. The team members turned pale. How could there be bandits on the outskirts of Black Wind Mountain? Wang Er, take 2 men and flank them. Li Si, get in the tree. Zhang Niu, prepare the rope trap. Zhao Dazu's voice was as light as a laugh, finally showing a ruthless, beast-hunting resolve. Make them fear us, and we live. He walked along toward the bend, carrying his empty hunting bow on his back, seemingly defenseless. 3 dark figures jumped out from behind the rocks, holding stone knives and grinning hideously. Fat sheep, leave the prey behind. Before they finished speaking, a rope dropped from above, hoisting 2 of them upside down into the tree. The third tried to run, but Wang pounced from behind, despite his lame leg, pinned him to the ground, and pressed a hunting knife to his throat. The entire process took just 10 breaths. Zhao Dazu stepped on the bandit leader's chest and leaned down to sniff him. The smell on his body, gunpowder, explosives, and the unique pine resin scent of Black Wind Stronghold. A scout for Black Wind Stronghold. His voice was icy as he said, "Who sent you?" The bandit's pupils contracted, clearly not expecting his identity to be exposed. He bit the poison sac in his mouth. Black blood oozed from his lips, and he died instantly. Zhao Daju frowned. Why would Black Wind Stronghold care so much about a small hunting team? Why attach such importance to it? He searched the body, and in his inner lining, he found a piece of paper. Drawn on it was an eye, with no words, only this eye, its pupil dotted with cinnabar, eerily lifelike. Qianwen saw the paper, and his face instantly turned pale. Brother Zhao, this is Lord Heimu's mark. Black Wind Strongholds. True master isn't the chief, it's this Heimu. They say he is a nobleman from the capital. Zhao Dachu put the paper away and looked deep into Black Wind Mountain. There, the lights of Black Wind Stronghold flickered like ghost eyes. A capital nobleman and borderland hunters. Why would these 2 worlds intersect? He thought of the blood money the village chief had mentioned, the shadow behind Liu San, and the smell of gunpowder on Zhao Fugui that shouldn't be there. An invisible net was tightening, and the Gale hunting team had just stepped onto the chessboard at dawn 3 days later. The team officially entered the mountain. Zhao Dashu divided the 7 people into 2 groups. Li Si and Zhao Xiaoliu scout ahead. Zhang Yu and Sun Tiezhu set up traps. Wang and Qianwen stay behind for support. He would track the wolf pack alone. Brother Zhao, it's too dangerous, Wang said anxiously. The pack is changing leaders. The new king isn't settled yet. It's a period of chaos. Zhao Dazu inspected his hunting fork. The wolf pack is most vulnerable to exposing its weaknesses at this time. He ventured deep into the heart of Black Wind Mountain alone. Relying on his tracking skills from his past life as a special forces soldier, he found the wolves' trail in the dead of night. Not just a few, but dozens, or even hundreds. The droppings were fresh, and the paw prints were scattered. This was a sign of migration. Someone was driving the wolf pack. Zhao Dazu squatted on a rock overlooking the valley. They were coming from the east and heading west, passing right by the desolate village. He recalled the wolf plague the village chief had mentioned, and remembered the smell of gunpowder on Zhao Fugui. Gunpowder could drive beasts away, but it could also lure them. Black Wind Stronghold or Blackwood was using the wolves as a weapon. The Gale hunting squad, all 7 of them, encountered the wolf pack. The vanguard wasn't just dozens of wolves, it was over 100. Green eyes flickered in the woods like ghost fire. The wolves had been driven to the limit of starvation, lunging at anyone they saw, completely losing their minds. The squad formed a back-to-back formation. Zhao Dazu charged back from the flank. His hunting fork plunged into a starving wolf's eye socket and twisted, crushing its brains. This was the only effective way to kill them. Destroy the brain, and they die instantly. Zhao Dazu had a sharp eye. The white wolf in the southeast corner was the pack's alpha. That giant, ash-white wolf howled from the rear, and with every change in its pitch, the pack's offensive changed direction. Though limping, Wang circled to the flank like a ghost. His legs couldn't run, but his hand was steady. A short sword flew out, piercing accurately into the white wolf's side. It wasn't a fatal wound, but it was enough. The white wolf howled in pain. Its tone changed, causing the pack's offensive to falter for a moment. Now, fire attack. Qianwen lit the prepared torches and threw them into the dry leaves. A wall of fire surged up, splitting the wolf pack in half. Zhao Dasu took the opportunity to dash in. His hunting fork aimed straight for the white wolf's throat. The white wolf became enraged. Twice the size of a normal gray wolf, it smacked its sharp claws onto the fork's shaft, sending angry blood splattering. Zhao Dachu was knocked back. 10 paces, the webbing between his thumb and index finger tearing open, but he smiled. Only this kind of strength was worthy of being called an opponent. He abandoned the fork and drew his blade, its flash bright as snow. The blade, its flash intertwining with claw shadows as blood splattered all around. The squad members wanted to support him, but were tangled up by the wolves, only able to watch helplessly as Zhao Dazu did a roll, sliding under the wolf's belly with thrust after thrust, plunging into its heart. The white wolf howled and fell. The pack instantly lost its morale, and a bloody slaughter began. It was like slaughtering cattle, leaving none alive. The Gale squad slid to the wolf's flanks, slaying the chaotic pack one by one. When the last wolf fell, the woods were already covered with corpses, and blood had soaked through the fallen leaves. Zhao Dazu knelt beside the white wolf, panting heavily like a bull, covered in wounds. The heaviest wound went from his shoulder to his waist, nearly deep enough to show bone. But he was alive. 117 wolves. 7 men. 0 casualties. Brother Zhao, Li Si's voice was trembling. This is a wolf plague unseen in a century. Zhao Daju looked up toward the depths of Black Wind Mountain. This wolf plague isn't natural. It's driven. Someone is using gunpowder and blood bait to drive the pack in this direction. Sniff the wind. Aside from the stench of blood, there was a faint, familiar smell of sulfur, exactly like the one on the village chief's son. On their way down the mountain, the Gale squad dragged 27 wolf pelts, each man carrying a heavy load of wolf meat. This harvest was equal to the desolate village's income for 3 years, but no one smiled. At the intersection stood 3 men, dressed in black and masked, with the pine resin tokens of Black Wind Stronghold hanging from their waists. Hunter King Zhao, the leader, said, his voice hoarse. Our chief invites you. We've prepared fruit wine in the stronghold to celebrate the Hunter King's victory. Zhao Dachu stopped in his tracks, his nostrils flaring. The three men had no murderous intent on them, only probing. But in the distant bushes, at least 20 archers lay hidden with arrows nocked. Tell the head chieftain about the hangmen banquet. Zhao Dachu's voice was calm. In 3 days, I will visit in person. These 27 wolf pelts are my greeting gift. The man in black obviously didn't expect this answer. For a brief moment, he cupped his hands and left. The team members' faces turned pale. Zhao Feng's stronghold is a ruthless place that eats people alive. And Brother Zhao is actually volunteering to go there. Brother Zhao, the man hesitated to speak. They are testing us, and we are testing them. Zhao Dachu looked toward the stronghold, his gaze profound. Black Wind stronghold has 300 men. Why did they target the 7 of us? How did they know we were going into the mountains today? And would happen to encounter the wolf plague? He remembered the eyes carved on the back of the village chief's bronze medal. He remembered the smell of sulfur on Zhao Fugui, and the unnatural cloudiness in the white wolf's eyes before it died. It wasn't the look of a wild beast. It was like a domesticated dog. There's a secret in Black Wind stronghold. Zhao Dazu's voice was as soft as a whisper, and secrets mean power. He turned to look at the 6 bloodstained men. Are you afraid? The 6 exchanged glances. Wang Er spoke first, his crippled leg still dripping blood. Brother Zhao, I should have died 3 years ago. Every extra day I live now is a bonus. Who the hell is afraid? Sang Niu grinned, revealing his blood-stained teeth. Killing wolves with Brother Zhao is more satisfying than slaughtering pigs. Cao Dasu smiled, and his smile was as sharp as a blade amidst the bloody room. Good. In 3 days, the Li Feng squad will flatten Black Wind stronghold. 3 days later, Zhao Dazu went up the mountain to Black Wind stronghold alone, carrying 27 wolf pelts on his back, with only a short knife at his waist. The Li Feng squad, the 6 men laid in ambush at the foot of the mountain, having agreed to use a flaming arrow as a signal. If you don't see the signal within 2 hours, storm the mountain. Brother Zhao, let me go with you. Wang Er blocked the path with his crippled leg. Your leg is slow, you won't be able to escape. Zhao Dazu shoved the travel permit into Wang's hand. If I die, take the brothers to Qingshi town and find Qian Donglai at Wanshaotang. He will take you in. Qian Donglai and Zhao Dachu had a secret agreement regarding the Li Feng squad to give priority supply to Wanshaotang. Wang Er gripped the travel permit tightly, his eyes turning red. Black Wind stronghold was built on a cliff. The only passage was the thread of sky. On both sides, the cliffs were as steep as if cut by a knife. An ambush of 100 men could hold off an army. Zhao Dachu walked into it, his nose flared, catching the scent of at least 30 people, but no one showed themselves. It was a show of force, and also a test. The stronghold gates were wide open, a red carpet rolled out, and standing on both sides were fierce bandits wielding blades gleaming like scales. At the end, on the high platform sat a man built like an iron tower, the head chieftain of Black Wind stronghold, iron-backed bear Xiong Kuo-hai. Hunter King Zhao, what courage. Xiong Kuo-hai's voice boomed like muffled thunder. To dare enter my Black Wind stronghold single-handedly. Zhao Dachu placed the wolf pelts on the red carpet. The bloodstains splattered on the rich brocade. I am not intruding. I am here for the banquet. Since the head chieftain prepared the wine, how could I not come? He raised his hand, his gaze bypassing Xiong Kuo-hai and landing on the shadows of the high platform. A thin figure sat there, their face obscured by a black iron mask, fingers tapping the table in a bizarre rhythm. The smell of sulfur drifted from this person. After 3 rounds of drinks, Xiong Kuo-hai still didn't mention any serious matters, only praising Zhao Dachu's wolf-killing skills. The fierce bandits took turns offering toasts. There was no poison in the wine, but it was so potent that an ordinary person would pass out after 3 cups. Zhao Dachu had undergone drug resistance training in his past life. After 6 cups down his throat, his eyes remained as clear as before. Head chieftain, he put down his wine cup. The wine is drunk. The meat is eaten. It's time to talk business. Xiong Kuo-hai laughed heartily. What business? Every month you go down the mountain to borrow grain. How many casualties do you suffer? 30%? 50%? Zhao Dazu's voice was calm. It'll teach you how to hunt, so you don't have to risk lives for the loot. A 30-70 split. I take 3. The stronghold takes 7. The whole place falls silent as the fierce bandits look at each other in dismay. Is Zhao Dazu here to absorb Black Wind stronghold? In the shadows, the man in the black iron mask stops tapping his fingers. Zhao, king of hunters. Xiong Kuo-hai squints. Do you know how much grain Black Wind stronghold borrows in a year? 3,000 taels. Can hunting earn us 3,000 taels? It can this year. Zhao Dazu pulls a piece of paper from his chest. Deep in Black Wind Mountain, there's a valley of the dead, filled with miasma, where even wild beasts dare not enter. But I found this there. The paper shows a drawing of a plant. 7 leaves, 1 flower, golden-edged stamens, 7-leaf golden thread lotus. The man in the black iron mask suddenly speaks, his voice as raspy as sandpaper. A century-old medicinal herb, 1 stalk is worth 100 taels. There are no less than 300 stalks in the Valley of the Dead. Zhao Daju looks at the masked man, but picking them requires a special miasma-repelling talisman, someone who understands the herb's habits, and hunters who aren't afraid of death. He pauses. The hunting wind team has all these. The stronghold provides manpower and escorts, and I provide the technical expertise. A 50-50 split. How does that compare to licking blood off your blades? Xiong Kuo-hai's breathing suddenly grows heavy. 3,000 taels versus 15,000. Even a fool can do the math. But the masked man suddenly stands up, his black iron mask flickering in the firelight. Hunter King Zhao, we can accept your terms, but on one condition. He claps his hands. A side door pushes open, and out walks a girl in ragged clothes, about 14 or 15 years old, her eyes as dull and hollow as ink. This is a medicine tester, used for testing poisons. The masked man says, his voice devoid of emotion. Since you understand herbs, you should know about the heartbreak grass that grows alongside the 7-leaf golden thread lotus. It looks almost identical and is highly toxic. If you can tell them apart, she lives. If not, she dies. The girl is pushed in front of Zhao Dazu, holding two nearly identical plants in her hands. The fierce bandits roar with laughter. This is a tradition in Black Wind Stronghold, testing an outsider's worth with a living human's life. Zhao Dazu looks into the girl's empty eyes and thinks of Xiao He. If he fails, this girl will die. If he refuses, the hunting wind team will die. He takes the two plants, not looking, but sniffing them. The 7-leaf golden thread lotus has a faint orchid scent, which is an evolutionary strategy to attract pollinating insects. The heartbreak grass is odorless, but its roots have a rotting smell, which is the smell of accumulated insect corpses after it poisons them. This one is the golden thread lotus. He hands one back. This one is the heartbreak grass, but the poison sac at the root has already been removed. You already knew the answer. The masked man's finger twitches. Zhao Dazhu raises his hand, his gaze as sharp as a knife. The testing ends here. I want to see the real person in charge, Lord Blackwood. Inside the back hall's secret room, candlelight flickers. The man in the black iron mask takes off his mask, revealing a face as pale as paper. It is actually a young man in his 20s, with a sickly aristocratic air about him. The young man smiles, but the smile doesn't reach his eyes. 3 years ago, the Lin family in the capital was executed entirely. Their legitimate son fell off a cliff and died. Zhao Dazu, where did you come from? Zhao Dazu's pupils shrink suddenly. Memories of his past life and his identity in this life collide at this moment. The Lin family. The capital. What is the connection between the original owner of this body, Zhao Dazu, and the Lin family in the capital? I don't understand what you're talking about. I don't understand. The young man takes a scroll from a hidden compartment and unrolls it. The person in the portrait bears a 70% resemblance to Zhao Dazu, wearing an elegant brocade robe with jade hanging from his waist. The legitimate son, Lin Lai. Zhao Dazu, a lazy man from a deserted village, born in the first year of Jinhe, and died in the third year of Jinhe. The young man taps his finger on the word died. Someone who should have died last night is standing in front of me today, killing wolves, organizing a hunting team, and storming Black Wind Stronghold. He leans forward, his gaze like a venomous snake flicking his tongue. Who are you? Zhao Dazu remains silent. The secret of his time travel cannot be told, but the young man's words have revealed key information. The original owner, Zhao Dazu, is blood related to the Lin family in the capital. Is he an illegitimate son, from a branch family, or a body double? Who I am is not important. He speaks, his voice hoarse. What matters is what I can offer. Blackwood. The young man raises an eyebrow. The 7-leaf golden thread lotus is just the beginning. Zhao Dazu pulls a second piece of paper from his chest. A gunpowder formula, a simplified version. This can turn Black Wind Stronghold's men into an army. The young man suddenly stands up, knocking over the candlestick, his face twisted ferociously in the firelight. How did you know about the gunpowder? This is that, Lord's secretary. Because Zhao Dazu's voice was calm. I know more than that, Lord. He stepped forward, his shadow looming over the young man. Cooperate, or I will let the whole world know that Black Wind Stronghold's gunpowder comes from the capital. The secret negotiation lasted for 2 hours. When Zhao Dazu walked out of the stronghold gates, he was followed by 20 Black Wind elites and 3 crates of gunpowder materials. The young man, the real Lord Blackwood, had reached a secret agreement with him. Black Wind Stronghold would become the Li Feng Squad's secret wing, providing manpower, shelter, and intelligence. Zhao Dazu would provide the technology and channels. What exactly do you want for the future? The young man suddenly asked Zhao Dazu as they parted, looking toward the deserted village and toward the distant horizon. I want a world where there are no more Zhao Dazhus. He paused. I want everyone like Zhao Dazu to have food to eat, clothes to wear, without having to sell their sons and daughters or become bandits. The young man froze, then burst into laughter, laughing until he coughed up blood. Lunatic. You are a complete lunatic. Zhao Dazu didn't look back. At the foot of the mountain, a flare rocket shot into the sky. The 6 members of the Li Feng Squad rushed up the mountain, only to see Zhao Dazu leading 20 men in black. The fierce bandits completely unharmed. Brother Zhao, Li Si, and the new members were dumbfounded. Zhao Dachu patted the lead bandit's shoulder. The Black Wind Stronghold branch is now under the command of the Li Feng Squad. Wang Er, seeing the awe in the eyes of those fierce bandits, suddenly realized that Brother Zhao hadn't gone to negotiate. He had conquered an entire stronghold. On the way back to the city, Zhao Dazhu tucked the jade pendant Blackwood had given him into his shirt. An eye was carved on it, identical to the mark on the back of the village chief's copper plate. The waters of the capital were deeper than he had imagined, but it didn't matter. In his past life, he was the king of special forces. In this life, he is the hunter king of the deserted village. Now that the chessboard was set, he was going to be the player, not a pawn. Li Feng Squad camp. Deserted village. Zhao Dazu squatted in front of the stove, drawing a diagram on the ground with a piece of charcoal. A complex mechanical structure. It had a bow, arms, pulleys, a trigger, and a quiver magazine. Brother Zhao, what's this? Zhang Niu scratched his head. A hunting crossbow. Zhao Dazu's voice carried suppressed excitement. A standard hunting bow shoots slowly and lacks power. It can't pierce a boar's hide from 10 zhang away. But this, he pointed at the pulley system, uses leverage. A 50 jin. Pull weight can release 100 jin of force. The magazine holds 10 bolts, firing continuously. It can be emptied in 3 breaths. The team gasped. 3 breaths. 100 jin of force. This isn't a hunting tool anymore. It's military ordnance. The materials require metal, iron, ox sinew, and sandalwood. Zhao Dazu continued drawing. Black Wind Stronghold has an iron mine. Wangshu Hall has the channels, but we don't have the manpower. He looked up at the team members gathered around him. I need 50 hunting crossbows in 20 days. Can we do it? Silence. Then Qian Wen spoke up. This former bandit was now the squad's bookkeeper and intel chief, Brother Zhao. Metal and iron require a county office permit. Privately forging iron is a capital offense. Cao Dasu smiled and pulled a token from his shirt. It was the one given by Blackwood. The back bore an eye carving, while the front bore the seal of the Ministry of War. Now we have our permit. On the 10th day, the first batch of 10 crossbows was completed. Zhao Dachu took Wang Er and Li Si to test them at the camp. From 100 paces away, a 3-inch thick wooden board was pierced through by a single bolt, its tail quivering and buzzing. Nice! The crowd cheered. Suddenly, the sound of hoofbeats came from the village entrance. 5 fast horses arrived, led by county constables. The one leading them was a scholar in green robes, wearing the county magistrate's seal at his waist. It was actually the magistrate, Zhou Wenyuan himself, Hunter King Zhao. Zhou Wenyuan dismounted, his eyes falling on the crossbows. A sharp gleam flashed in his eyes. What fine equipment! If I am not mistaken, these are modified military crossbows. Zhao Dazu's heart skipped a beat. This magistrate knew his stuff. You have a sharp eye, my lord, he replied, neither subservient nor overbearing. They're just for hunter's self-defense, will not receive a military rank. Zhou Wenyuan smiled. His smile was deeply meaningful. I came here today for 3 matters. First, the 100 Hunts tournament has been advanced to 3 days from now. Is Hunter King Zhao willing to participate? He lowered his voice. Second, regarding the Imperial Court's recruitment of extraordinary talents, once you enter the palace, you won't be allowed to leave halfway. If Hunter King Zhao presents this hunting crossbow to the Imperial Court, it can be exchanged for a 5th rank official position. Third, his gaze swept over the crossbows and the 50 strong men of the Gale hunting team. The Black Wind stronghold has been quiet recently. Is it related to Hunter King Zhao? 3 questions. 3 layers of probing Zhao Dachu, he pondered. The 100 Hunts tournament is an opportunity for a Hunter King to become famous, but it is also a trap. The Ministry of Work's official position is bait, and also a shackle. Black Wind stronghold is leverage. The crossbows are bargaining chips. My lord, he cupped his hands. The Gale hunting team will participate in the 100 Hunts tournament. As for the Ministry of Works, please allow me some time to consider. As for the Black Wind stronghold, he paused. The chief, Xiang Kuohai, has some business dealings with me. If my lord wishes to eradicate the bandits, the Gale hunting team can act as the vanguard, using offense as defense to turn passivity into initiative. Zhou Wenyuan was stunned for a moment, then laughed heartily. Good. 3 days from now, at the 100 Hunts tournament, I look forward to seeing Hunter King Zhao's crossbows. He mounted his horse. Before leaving, he suddenly turned back. By the way, someone from the capital has arrived. A noble is very interested in Hunter King Zhao. On the day of the tournament, he will be present. Noble? Capital? Zhao Dazu recalled Haima's words, recalled the eye insignia on the jade pendant, and recalled this body's connection to the Lin family. The chessboard was getting larger. Qingshi town was emptied. The 100 Hunts tournament was held once every 3 years, but this year was exceptionally different. The county office offered a reward for the Hunter King, 100 taels of gold, and the Hunter King could establish a hunting mercenary group of 500. Even more shockingly, the brocade-clad woman sitting on the high platform, her face covered by a veil, with 8 sword-bearing guards standing beside her, had an imposing aura like a deep abyss. That is, Princess Yongle, someone whispered. The late emperor's youngest daughter, the current emperor's biological sister, Zhao Dachu, stood in front of the Gale hunting team's formation. His gaze met the woman's and immediately parted. Her eyes showed no curiosity, but deep scrutiny and confirmation. The tournament began. 3 rounds of hunting, combat, and survival. In the first round, the Gale hunting team's 50 men entered the arena with hunting crossbows. In half a day, they hunted 20 wild boars, 30 wild deer, and 10 wolves, completely crushing their competitors. Second round, combat. Cao Dasu faced the previous Hunter King, the Tishan hunting team, Zhang Tishan. This man had already colluded with the Black Wind stronghold and intended to take Zhao Dazu's life in the arena. Zhao Dazu, Zhang Tishan held his machete horizontally. You killed the Black Wind strongholds. 20 brothers. Pay with your life today. There were gunpowder traces on his blade. It was given by Heimu, a simplified version of the formula that exploded upon contact with fire. Zhao Dashu fired his crossbow continuously. 3 arrows blinded his eyes, 2 arrows broke his knees, and 1 arrow severed his throat. 6 arrows, 6 breaths. Zhang Tishan fell to the ground, the gunpowder on his blade unignited. Why you? How did you know? Zhang Tishan's pupils dilated. Zhao Dashu put away his crossbow. The sulfur smell was too strong. The entire arena fell silent, then erupted into earth-shattering cheers. The princess stood up, the corners of her mouth twitching under the veil. Third round, survival. Zhao Dachu led the Gale hunting team straight into the depths of Black Wind Mountain, encountering wolf packs and miasma. They were ambushed by mountain bandits, but overcame it all. 3 rounds. Ranked first. The Hunter King token was secured, but the true test lay after the tournament. Night at the county office's courtyard. Zhao Dachu was invited here. The princess sat alone in the courtyard, the moonlight flowing like water. Zhao Dachu, or should I call you cousin? Zhao Dachu, pupils shrank sharply. 20 years ago, the Lin family's twins, the eldest legitimate son, Zhao Dasu, and the second son, Lin Xuan, the Lin family was condemned, and their entire clan was executed, but someone secretly substituted the core members. The princess took off her veil, revealing a face that was 70% similar to Zhao Dazu's in the portrait. Ling Xuan was sent into the palace and became a eunuch. Zhao Dazu fell off a cliff and died. He looked at Zhao Dazu with a complex gaze. But you didn't die. You were saved by someone and switched with a farmer's son. Zhao Dazu lived for 20 years, until 3 months ago, when Heimu found you and awakened your bloodline. With his bloodline awakened, Zhao Dazu remembered the night he time traveled. He remembered this body's superhuman sense of smell, reflexes, and healing ability. That wasn't demonic power. It was the innate instinct of a born hunter king, filtered through generations of the Lin family's fiery genes. What do you want? Zhao Dazu's voice was hoarse. The princess handed over a secret decree. Cooperation. The northern frontier is at war. The court needs the hunter king. It needs an army capable of fighting the enemy. You establish a hunting corps, and it'll guarantee your legal income. A 50-50 split. She paused. Also, Hei Mu is my subordinate. I provided the gunpowder to Black Wind's stronghold. The smell of sulfur on Zhao Fugui was also arranged by me. Zhao Dachu smiled bitterly. So the one he thought was a chess player was also just a pawn. What if I refuse? The princess smiled. You won't refuse. Because you investigated who left the scar on Madame Lia's face, and you looked into who killed Xiao Hei's birth parents. Zhao Dazu clenched his fists until his knuckles turned white. It was the original host. Zhao Dazu was a beast, but what forced him to become a beast was this man-eating world, this royal authority. I accept. He took the secret decree and took over this even bigger game of chess. But let's change the conditions. He raised his hand, his gaze sharp like a knife. And not 50-50. It's 70 for me, 30 for you. The hunting corps only takes orders from me. Also, I want to know the truth behind the Lin family's condemnation 20 years ago. The princess was stunned, then laughed so hard that tears came to her eyes. Cousin, you're more interesting than I thought. Under the moonlight, the two foxes finally saw eye to eye. In the spring of the 4th year of Jinghe, the 5,000-strong Lifeng hunting corps marched north to fight the enemy. The elite forces of the enemy state Great Zhou, the Iron Pagoda cavalry, were world-renowned. Both men and horses were heavily armored, charging like a wall, and wherever they passed, nothing survived. Zhao Dazu led the army for the first time as a general, full of spirit. He wanted to use hunting crossbows and gunpowder to create a miracle of the weak defeating the strong. Brother Zhao, the Iron Pagoda has heavy armor. Our hunting crossbows can't pierce it from beyond 50 paces, Wang Er warned. Then we'll lure them within 50 paces. Zhao Dazu unfolded the map. Well, set an ambush in this canyon, lure the enemy, let them go deep, block the road with gunpowder, then use cavalry archers with hunting crossbows. The plan was perfect, yet something went wrong. A scout reported that the Iron Pagoda's vanguard only had 3,000 men. Half a day's journey from the canyon, Zhao Dazu decided to strike early and engage the enemy proactively. A swift attack to prevent enemy from having a chance to assemble. He forgot that the Iron Pagoda weren't beasts, they were men with tactics. The enemy, General, the iron-faced General Yuantai, intentionally showed weakness to lure Zhao Dachu to pursue. When the Lifeng hunting corps rushed out of the canyon, what greeted them wasn't a 3,000-man vanguard, but a main force of 30,000 flanking them from both sides. With their retreat cut off, it was too late to change formation. The Iron Pagoda charged like thunder. There was no time to reload the hunting crossbows or ignite the gunpowder. The Lifeng hunting corps was defeated. Zhao Daju personally led light troops to cover the retreat. Hit by 3 arrows, he was desperately rescued by Wang Er. Upon tallying the casualties, those killed in action numbered 1,700, with 800 captured. The hunting crossbows were completely lost and gunpowder seized. Zhao Dachu knelt among the corpses, tasting defeat for the first time. Brother Zhao, it's not your fault? Wang Er choked up. It is my fault. Zhao Daju's voice was hoarse. I underestimated the enemy. I was too rash. I treated men like wolves. He looked up toward the enemy's direction. Yu Wentai, I will remember this name. Retreating to an isolated city, Zhao Dazu shut his doors. For 3 days, he restudied the Iron Pagoda. Heavy armor is an advantage, but also a disadvantage. Horsepower is limited. After 3 charges, they must be exhausted. Their armor is heavy, and once they fall, they cannot quickly get back up. What they fear most isn't the frontal assault, it's flanks, night raids, and the terrain. The Hunter King is not the strongest. He wrote in the Hunter King's logbook, he is the one who understands his opponent best. On the 4th day, as snow fell, Zhao Dazu gathered the remaining 3,300 men. He gave each man a pair of simple skis, predecessors to sleds made of hardwood and animal hides from Black Wind Mountain. Yu Wentai will pursue us to press his advantage. By tomorrow, he will arrive at our city walls. We won't defend the city. We will leave it and launch a snowy night raid. Brother Zhao, 3,000 against 30,000. It's not 3,000 against 30,000. Zhao Dazu pointed at the map. It's 3,000 against their supply line, the Iron Pagoda cavalry. Don't just eat forage, they eat grain. Without it, their cold iron armor becomes their coffin. On the snowy night, Zhao Dazu personally led an elite force of 500 skiers, gliding silently to bypass the enemy camp and strike directly at the supply line. The remaining 2,800 men beat drums across the city as a bluff to tie down the enemy forces. Yu Wentai, as expected, fell for it, thinking Zhao Dazu was night raiding the main camp. By the time he repositioned heavy troops for defense and realized the supply line had been burned, it was already dawn. In the snow, the Iron Pagodas couldn't catch up to the skis. Zhao Dazu burned all the provisions and calmly retreated. 3 days later, the Iron Pagodas retreated due to a lack of grain. The Gale Hunter Corps trailed and harassed them, specifically picking off stragglers. Small victories accumulated into a major victory. In the end, of the 30,000 Iron Pagodas, less than 20,000 made it back. With 3,000 battered troops, Zhao Daju achieved a miracle unseen in the northern frontier for a decade. Yu Wendai. Zhao Dazu watched the dust of the retreating army. I won this round, but it'll be more careful in the next one. He turned to face the surviving soldiers, dropping to one knee. My mistake got them killed. Brothers, from this day forward, the Gale Hunter Corps will no longer be dictated by my word alone. Major military decisions will be made together. The soldiers were stunned, then uniformly knelt down. We are willing to die for the Hunter King. Zhao Dachu looked up at the falling snow, his face cold, but his mind clear. This was what it meant to be the true Hunter King. Jin He, winter of year 4. Yuan Tai led a 50,000-strong army to invade the northern frontier again. This time, he brought firearms. Not hunting crossbows, but primitive heaven-shaking thunders, iron shells filled with gunpowder thrown to explode. Clearly, the Gale Hunter Corps gunpowder captured last time had been reverse-engineered by the great Zhou. Brother Zhao, they have cannons. Li Si's voice trembled. What they have, we have too. Zhao Dazu unrolled a blueprint, and ours is better. He designed a snow-hunting crossbow using an ice shovel as a base with the crossbow fixed on top, allowing it to be fired while moving at high speeds over the snow. More importantly, arrows tipped with fierce fire oil would, once fired, ignite and specifically burn the horse's eyes. The iron pagodas fear fire, and the horse's eyes are their only weakness. The two armies faced off on the White Plains, over thousands of miles of frozen land. Yuan Tai arrayed his troops, the iron pagodas in the center, like a black wall. Zhao Dazu divided the Gale Hunter Corps into 10 squads, 300 men each on skis, using guerrilla tactics instead of engaging directly. He wants to wear us down? Yuan Tai sneered. Order a heaven-shaking thunder barrage. Force them into a decisive battle. Boom, boom, boom. Explosions ripped through the snow, blasting apart the Gale Hunter Corps, inflicting heavy casualties. But Zhao Dazu smiled, as getting impatient. Don't dodge the heaven-shaking thunders. Every shot used is one shot less. Wait until he runs out. He raised his hunting crossbow. Then it's our turn. At dusk, when the heaven-shaking thunders paused, Zhao Dazu personally led his elites, 1,000 skiers charging in not at the men, but at the horses. Fire arrows were unleashed simultaneously, aimed strictly at the horses' eyes. The panicked war horses stampeded, crashing into the iron pagoda's main formation. Heavy cavalry were trampled to death by their own horses. The snow-hunting crossbows swarmed in from all directions. After firing, they would immediately retreat without getting entangled. The iron pagodas couldn't catch them, nor could they hit them. Their formation fell into total chaos. Yuan Tai personally entered the fray. His iron mask was shot off by Zhao Dazu's fire arrow, revealing a young and pale face, about the same age as Zhao Dachu. Zhao Dazu, he roared at Yuan Tai. Zhao Dazu responded, the two of them facing each other across the chaotic battlefield. Their glares clashed like swords. Eventually, the iron pagoda cavalry was defeated. Yuan Tai lured the remnants to break through the siege. Zhao Dachu did not pursue. He stood on his white ape, looking at the armored corpses covering the ground. Suddenly, with a swift strike of his blade, he stopped the pursuers and curbed his anger. Let him go? Killing such an opponent would be a pity. That night, Yuan Tai sent an envoy with a letter. It was not a challenge, but a letter for peace. Hunter King Zhao, I have fought in the north for 10 years, but never had a battle like this. If there is a chance in the future, I wish to share a drink with you. Zhao Dachu replied. On the battlefield, we clash with swords. At the wine table, we meet as friends. General Yuan is an opponent I truly respect. The northern frontier was just settled, and the Gale Legion's name shook the world. In the spring of the 5th year of Jinhe, Princess Yongle, under the guise of rewarding the troops, arrived in person. At the northern frontier, she brought not rations, but a secret edict. The emperor was critically ill, the prince was young, and the court was in chaos. She needed Zhao Dachu to return to the capital and protect the throne. I am not going to the capital. Zhao Dachu refused. The northern frontier is just settled. If I leave, Yuan Tai will come again. Who will stop him? Can you stop Yuan Tai? Can you stop the blaze in the court? The princess stepped closer to him. The Lin family got in the late emperor's way back then. That's why. So you want me to be a shield again? The princess fell silent, then unbound her hair, falling like a waterfall. Her voice was as soft as a whisper. I want you, not for the court, but for myself. Zhao Dazu took a step back. I have a wife, I know. I am not asking for a title, just to be with you. That night, enemy assassins infiltrated. Their target was not the princess, but Zhao Dachu. Was Yuan Tai's peace talk a stalling tactic, or was it someone else's doing? Zhao Dachu protected the princess, fighting as they retreated, falling back into the ice cellar. The assassins pursued them inside. Zhao Dachu detonated the hidden explosives. The ice cellar collapsed, burying all the assassins. He and the princess were trapped. In the darkness, there was only each other's breathing. Why did you save me? The princess asked. Because you are an ally, just an ally. Zhao Dazu fell silent, then told the story of Madame Liu and the story of Xiao He. He recounted how he transformed into who he is today. I have only let down one woman in my life, he said, and I would not let down another. A second one. The princess smiled, a desolate smile. I understand. 3 days later, the rescue team dug open the ice cellar. Zhao Dazu and the princess survived by eating ice, drinking meltwater, and huddling for warmth. They survived without crossing any lines, sharing only a life and death bond. I take back what I said before. The princess told Zhao Dazu as she stepped out of the cellar. You are not just the Hunter King, you are a true gentleman. I am no gentleman. Zhao Dazu shook his head. I just hate trouble. The princess laughed aloud, and something within her laugh felt relieved. Before returning to the capital, the princess made a new pact with Zhao Dazu. He would keep the northern frontier peaceful. Zhao Dazu would ensure border stability. As for court affairs, she wouldn't force him to take sides, but if the world ever falls into chaos, she asked of Zhao Dazu, protect only the people, not the imperial power. This pact puts you at a disadvantage, Zhao Dazu pointed out. It is to my advantage. The princess smiled, turning back as she mounted her horse. Because I believe that when that day comes, you will choose me. She whipped her horse and rode off into the dust. Zhao Dazu shook his head. Women are harder to understand than wolves. The 6th year of Jinhe, Zhao Dazhu was summoned back to the capital, ostensibly for a reward. It was actually a test. The new emperor was young, the empress dowager ruled from behind the screen, and the princess held all the courtly power. But some refused to submit. The royal clan, old officials, and vassal kings formed the royalist party, aiming to eliminate the princess and clear the emperor's side. Zhao Dazhu was the first blade they wanted to win over. King Ning, the royalist party leader, visited him in person. As long as you support the orthodox lineage, the Lin family will be vindicated. Titles and prime ministerships will be yours for the taking. Zhao Dazhu smiled. The late emperor stripped the Lin family of their power and exterminated them. That was also orthodox. King Ning's expression changed. Zhao Dazhu investigated in secret and found the survivor of the Lin family case, an old eunuch, Lin Xuan's personal servant. From his mouth came the truth. The Lin family wasn't convicted of rebellion. It was the late emperor making an example out of them by stripping their power. Ling Chuan being castrated was not a punishment. It was the princess pleading to save his life. And the mastermind behind the scenes was not the princess' subordinate. It was Lin Xuan, who hated everyone to the core, including the sister who saved him. Zhao Dazhu, the old eunuch, knelt down. If you want revenge, should you seek out the late emperor or the princess? Zhao Dazhu remained silent. The late emperor was dead, and the princess was the one who indirectly saved the Lin family's bloodline. How could he take this revenge? During the Grand Court Assembly, the royalists launched an attack, demanding the empress dowager return power. The princess was isolated and helpless, and just as she was about to be deposed, Zhao Dazhu stepped forward, not to support the princess, but to propose a third path. Vassal kings and ruling behind the screen are not long-term solutions. The prince is young, so we should establish a regency council. The royal clan, ministers, and border generals will jointly govern and return power when the emperor comes of age. King Ning sneered. What do you think you are? I am the one. Zhao Dazhu unrolled the Lai Wang decree, who can bring the northern frontier army to the city gates at any moment. The hall fell dead silent. This is not a threat, it is a fact. Ultimately, the regency council was established. The princess, King Ning, and Zhao Dazhu stood as a triad. Zhao Dazhu did not claim a high position, serving only as the northern frontier military commissioner, but he held veto power. Why did you help me? The princess asked after the meeting. I wasn't helping you, Zhao Dazhu said. I was helping the possibility of avoiding bloodshed. He turned around. The Lin family's revenge, I will no longer pursue it. Not because I forgive, but because I don't want to become like you. The princess, watching his back, suddenly shed tears. This was the first time someone had rejected her, yet it made her respect him even more. The 7th year of Jinhe, the regency council fractured. King Ning was poisoned, and the royalist party collapsed. The princess was about to seize absolute power, but she needed the support of Zhao Dazu's army. Support me. She met him secretly late at night. Zhao Dazu, I will make you regent to rule alongside me. The Lin family will be vindicated, and you will be made a prince of a different surname with the title passed down perpetually. And if I don't support you, then you are a rebel. Zhao Dazu looked at her. This woman, who had once shared life and death with him in the ice cellar, was now entirely consumed by power. I only hunt beasts, not men. He repeated his words from years ago. This world is a hunting ground. The princess said agitatedly. If you don't hunt others, they will hunt you. Then let them come. Zhao Dazu stood up. I am returning to the northern frontier. As for the capital's affairs, I will no longer interfere. Upon leaving the capital, Zhao Dazhu was ambushed. It wasn't the princess's men. It was the mastermind, Lin Xuan. He brought the remnants of the Black Wind stronghold to kill him. Zhao Dazhu, I will plunge the world into chaos. His cousin Lin Xuan's face beneath the black iron mask twisted like a demon. Do you think you can stay clean by not taking sides? You are wrong. In this world, if you don't kill, you get killed. Zhao Dazu did not draw his sword. Lin Xuan, what you hate is not me, but this world. But instead of taking revenge on the world, it is better to change it. Change it? Lin Xuan laughed maniacally. How do we change it? Come back to the northern frontier with me. Zhao Dazu reached out his hand. It'll teach you that without using gunpowder, without conspiracies, you can still let people live with dignity. Lin Xuan froze, tears shimmering in his eyes beneath the mask. In the end, Lin Xuan didn't leave with Zhao Dazu, but he didn't kill Zhao Dazu either. He vanished into the night, leaving behind one sentence. Cousin, you cannot beat this world, but it'll be watching to see how far you can go. Zhao Dazu returned to the northern frontier alone. Speaking only of the white light piercing the sky that year, the princess had made her move after all. In the 8th year of Jinhe, the princess declared herself emperor, changing the era name to Yongle, known in history as the female emperor. In the northern frontier, Zhao Dazu refused to bow as a subject, nor did he rebel. He established the Hunters' Alliance, governing and profiting independently, keeping entirely out of the imperial court's business. The female emperor dispatched a massive army to eradicate Zhao Dazu. He didn't fight them directly. He just cut off their supply lines, forcing the army to retreat. I won't claim the throne, he told the envoy, but the northern frontier is my hunting ground. If you want to enter, you must first ask my hunter slaves. The realm was divided into 3, with the court, the Hunters' Alliance, and Great Zhou standing as a tripod. Zhao Dazu was the key to this balance. Brother Shao, Wang heir is getting old. This empire is easily within your grasp. Why not claim what is easily yours, and spare yourself the worry? What is easily gained can be easily lost. What I want is endurance. In the 10th year of Jinhe, Great Zhu Yuantai personally led a delegation to the northern frontier, not to fight, but for peace talks. The new emperor of Great Zhou faced internal strife and external threats upon his succession, and needed time to recover through an agreement with the Hunters' Alliance. King Zhaolai and Yuantai had grown old, their temples white with age. It's been 10 years, and here we are again at the wine table. The two conversed without discussing state affairs, talking only of the Battle of White Ape from years ago. They simply drank wine and talked about their respective children. My daughter is of marriageable age, Yuan Tai suddenly said. Your son is unmarried? Could we? No. Zhao Dashu shook his head. Whoever my son marries is up to him to choose. Just like when I chose Lady Liu, it's not about family status. Yuan Tai was stunned, then burst into laughter. Good, that's the true hunter king. The peace talks broke down, but trade opened up. Zhao Dasu proposed exchanging hunting goods for commerce. The northern frontiers, furs and herbs in exchange for great zows, war horses, and iron cavalry. Both sides took what they needed, without the need for weapons. This is nurturing a tiger to invite calamity. A subordinate warned, if Great Zhou grows strong, they will attack again. Then let them grow strong? Cao Dasu smiled. We will be strong too. So strong, they won't dare attack. The border markets steadily prospered. The Hunters' Alliance's gunpowder flowed into Great Zhou through trade, and also into the imperial court. The female emperor had to admit that Zhao Dachu's Hunters' Alliance had become an indispensable force in the realm. In the third year of Yongle, the female emperor sent a secret envoy to the northern frontier, not to declare war, but to sue for peace. She had grown old. The crown prince was young, and the court was in chaos. She needed Zhao Dachu to protect the throne once more. Back then, I chose power, the secret letter said. Now, I choose legacy. I beg you to ensure the crown prince's ascension and guarantee my peaceful end. Zhao Dachu replied in the letter. I will protect the crown prince, but not you. Earn your peaceful end yourself. Zhao Dachu entered the capital without an army, bringing only Wang Er and Li Si, his two old brothers. The female emperor saw him for the last time in the palace. Do you hate me? She asked. I don't, Zhao Dazu said. You merely chose a different path. Do you regret it? If you had chosen me back then. Zhao Dazu stayed silent, then shook his head. I chose Lady Liu, I chose the northern frontier, and I chose the Hunters' Alliance. I have never regretted it. The female emperor smiled, closed her eyes, and passed away. The crown prince ascended the throne. Zhao Dachu assisted in governing for 3 months before returning power to the sovereign and heading back to the northern frontier. Wang Er didn't understand. Brother Zhao, this empire is easily yours for the taking. I told you. Zhao Dachu mounted his horse. What is easily gained can also be easily lost. In the 15th year of Jinghe, maritime trade began to flourish. Pirates subsequently ran rampant, and the Hunter Alliance's merchant ships were frequently plundered, suffering heavy losses. Zhao Daju decided to form a naval hunting fleet. Brother Zhao, we're not familiar with this. If we're unfamiliar with naval warfare, we learn. Zhao Daju brushed off the complaints. I wasn't familiar with Blackwind Mountain at first either. Sandwolf, he invented the water hunting crossbow, using it to fire hooked ropes that grappled enemy ships, forcing a boarding action. He invented powder ships, filling them with explosives to ignite and ram into enemy vessels. This is a suicide attack, someone questioned. Hunting beasts costs lives. Zhao Dasu replied. Hunting pirates costs lives too. There's no difference. The naval hunting fleet set sail, encountering Pirate King Black Reef. Black Reef was familiar with the sea conditions. The naval hunting fleet suffered repeated defeats and morale plummeted. Brother Zhao, let's retreat. Retreat? Zhao Dazu stood at the bow of the ship. I've retreated from the White Ape, retreated from the capital, but I never retreated from Blackwind Mountain. He personally dove into the water to scout Black Reef's lair, a hidden coral reef that only revealed a passage during low tide. We wait for the low tide, and we attack at high tide. The spring tide on the night of the full moon. Zhao Daju led the naval fleet into the coral reef during the high tide. Black Reef's fleet was trapped in the shallows, unable to move. The water crossbows fired in unison, hooked ropes locking the enemy ships. Powder ships ignited and rammed the flagship. Boom. Black Reef jumped into the sea to escape, only to be captured alive underwater by Zhao Dazu. How did you know my lair? Black Reef asked indignantly. I didn't know. Zhao Daju shook off the seawater, but I know the tides. You understand the sea, I understand enemy ships. Black Reef surrendered, becoming the naval fleet's first sea hunting general. Zhao Daju didn't kill the surrendered enemies. He only changed their flags. Pirates became merchants, plundering became escorting, sharing the legal profits. Brother Zhao, this works too? Li Si was dumbfounded. People live their whole lives. Zhao Dashu looked toward the horizon, not to do evil, but to live well. If you give them a way out, most people will choose the right path. The Hunter Alliance's flag flew across the 7 seas. In the 20th year of Jinhe, Alliance merchant ships reached as far as the western regions, the southern seas, and even the far north. Envoys from various countries accompanied the merchant ships to the northern frontier, seeking an audience with the Hunter King. Some offered gems, some beauties, and some offered firearms. Brother Zhao, these firearms are better than ours, Qiang Wen marveled. Zhao Dachu ordered them to study it, and then surpass it. He established the Institute of 100 Crafts, gathering artisans from all over the world to research firearms, machinery, and navigation. The Hunter Alliance's technology advanced rapidly. Various countries respected Zhao Dachu as the king of the northern frontier and urged him to become emperor. I will not become emperor, Zhao Dachu refused. Emperors treat the world as a family possession, while a king hunts the world. What I want is for everyone in the world to be able to hunt. He promoted hunter self-governance. Hunters in every region elected their own leaders and made their own rules, only abiding by the basic law of the Hunter Alliance. This is not a king, but an alliance leader, someone pointed out. Zhao Dazu smiled. An alliance leader lasts longer than a king. In the 22nd year of Jinhe, Madame Liu fell seriously ill. Zhao Dazu dropped everything and returned to the deserted village, keeping watch by her bed. Madame Lia's withered hand stroked his face. My husband, you've grown old. You've grown old too. Zhao Dazu held her hand. But I still remember the first time you saw me. I was so scared, I took half a step back. Madame Liu smiled. Are you no longer afraid? Afraid of what? Afraid that you would become Zhao Dazu. But you didn't. You became the Hunter King. She closed her eyes. My life has been worth it. Madame Liu passed away. Zhao Dasu buried her beside the old wolf's grave on Black Wind Mountain. Wait for me, he said softly. Wait until there is no longer a need for Zhao Dasu in this world, and I will come join you. He returned to the northern frontier and worked even more frantically, building schools, building hospitals, and building nursing homes. Brother Zhao, you don't have to. I will speak for Zhao Dachu, because this is what I owe him. In the 25th year of Jinhe, Zhao Dazhu implemented a 3-year new policy. First, hunters were allocated land. Alliance members and their families received tax-free land based on merit. Those who enlisted and served 3 years of heavy duty, this threatened the landlord's interests. Zhao Dasu said, so be it. With our crossbows in hand, what is there to fear? Second, hunting crossbows were self-made, and the technology was made public to exchange for food, iron ore, and manpower from surrounding villages. The Hunter Vanguard Regiment transformed from an army into an alliance. Second, with the hunting crossbows self-made, each team elected its own leader and set its own rules. Zhao Dazu held the highest arbitration power. This wasn't a royal charter. People marveled. Zhao Dazhu wrote the alliance charter, which will outlast kings. They were dissatisfied with self-governance and wanted to have Zhao Dazu crowned as king to centralize power. Brother Zhao, you are old, Li Si said, holding a blade. This world should belong to us now. Zhao Dazu sat alone in the tent, neither fleeing nor dodging. What you want, I have already given, he said. But what you want is power, not the alliance. He stood up. I give you a choice. Kill me, or hear me out. Zhao Dachu spoke for an entire night. He talked about the Liu family, the first wolf of Black Wind Mountain, the white apes Yu Wentai, and why he wanted a system instead of power. Power dies with a person, he said, but a system lives on with the people. I want your descendants to be able to live like human beings. Li Si and the others knelt in bitter tears. Brother Zhao, we were wrong. Zhao Dazu helped them up. You weren't wrong. You just didn't understand yet. It's good that you understand now. He released all the rebels without killing a single one. After the rebellion, the alliance became even more stable. Because everyone knew Zhao Dazu wouldn't kill people, only the enemies of the system. Wang Er, before he died, asked, Brother Zhao, how long can this system last? Zhao Dazu held his old brother's hand. I don't know, but as long as it outlasts me, it's enough. Wang Er smiled and was buried in Black Wind Mountain. In the 30th year of Jinhe, the crown prince toured the north, and Zhao Dazu escorted him, only to find the crown prince cowardly and afraid of war, and addicted to wine and women. He doesn't seem like the empress' son, Li Si muttered. Zhao Dazu whispered. He isn't. The empress has no sons. He was adopted from the royal clan. The crown prince drew close to Zhao Dazu, respecting his merit and fearing his prestige. The crown prince finally spoke the truth. King Zhao, if you claim the throne, I will abdicate. Zhao Dachu remained silent, then left the banquet. And the night, assassins attacked with the crown prince as their target. Zhao Dazu protected him and broke through the siege, only to discover the assassins were from the imperial court. Not from enemy states, but from the crown prince's own maternal family, who wanted to kill him and install a new ruler. Why kill me? The crown prince broke down. Zhao Dasu said, because you are too weak. So weak that even your mother's clan abandons you. The crown prince wept bitterly. Zhao Dachu didn't comfort him, but instead told his own story. He spoke of his own downfall, of the Liu family's perseverance, and how he went from weak to strong. He said, strength is not about power, it's about choice. Choosing not to run, choosing not to degenerate, choosing to do what must be done. The crown prince was stunned, then knelt down. Please teach me, King Zhao. Zhao Dazhu didn't teach the crown prince schemes. He taught him kingship, knowing how to understand people, how to employ people, and how to build a system, instead of relying on individuals. 3 months later, the crown prince returned to the capital a changed man. Li Si asked, Brother Zhao, can he become a wise ruler? Zhao Dasu said, I don't know, but I gave him the right to choose. Whether he succeeds or fails is no longer on my shoulders. In the 40th year of Jinhe, Zhao Dazhu was 60. He was old, his hair and beard all white, but his eyes were still as sharp as ever. Brother Zhao, don't go into the mountains anymore. Just one last time. He picked up his hunting pitchfork. That white wolf is still waiting for me. Deep in Haifeng Mountain, Zhao Dashu went into the mountains alone to face the descendant of that white wolf, which had now become the Wolf King. He didn't return from the hunt for 3 days. The hunting party was anxious and wanted to search the mountain, but he stopped them. Father once said, he smiled, when the Hunter King goes into the mountain, there are only 2 outcomes: return fully loaded, or sleep with the beasts. On the 4th day, Zhao Dasu emerged from the mountain with no prey, only a complete white wolf pelt, but he was covered in injuries. He is old, and I am old too, he said. We fought to a draw. Why didn't you bring back his body? Someone asked. Because he deserves respect. Zhao Dasu said, just like Yu Wentai, just like the Empress, and just like all opponents worthy of respect. He buried the wolf pelt next to Madame Lia's grave. He whispered, wait for me, it really won't be long now. Returning to the northern frontier, Zhao Dazu founded the Hunter King Academy. Regardless of noble or humble birth, he taught everyone without discrimination. The curriculum wasn't about political maneuvers, but survival, cooperation, and systems. What I want isn't another Zhao Dazu, he said. It's millions of people who can live like true human beings. The twins, the spirit beasts, and Lin Lai became the first batch of students in the 42nd year of Jinhe. Zhao Dazu fell gravely ill. The emperor traveled personally to the northern frontier, not for state affairs, but just to see him one last time. The emperor knelt on the ground. King of Zhao, the greatest fortune in my life was meeting you. And also the greatest misfortune. Zhao Dachu smiled. It was meeting you too. Because you know what a true king is, but you just can't do it. Zhao Dashu taught the emperor his final lesson. It's not about manipulation, it's about letting go. After I die, the Hunters' Alliance will govern itself. Do not try to control them, but do not abandon them either. He said, let them grow on their own. What if they rebel? They won't. Zhao Dasu said, because the Hunters' Alliance Charter is the best lock I've left for you, and also the best key. The Emperor opened the Hunters' Alliance Charter and found Zhao Dachu's blood-written letter on the last page. This charter can be amended or abolished, but it must be unanimously decided by all hunters. A single person's order is invalid. This is to restrict me. The Emperor was stunned. Zhao Dachu said, this is to protect you and to protect millions of people. Zhao Dasu passed away peacefully. The Emperor wept bitterly and decreed that the northern frontier would be self-governing, forever unchanged. Zhao Dachu was buried in Haifeng Mountain, sleeping alongside Madame Liu and the White Wolf. Li Si knelt on the ground. Brother Zhao, your life was truly worth it.